What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Real Fanatics. I'm your host, Ferran, here again with my man Vito. After a slight hiatus away, we are back to bring you all more content. We was coming back, y'all. Sorry for the delay, but we here. And
Life
today
has
we are.
happened, brother.
Life has been happening. Life has been happening.
It's been
So
we're adults now. It's
yeah,
different, man.
yeah. We
But
like to just be in nerd mode all the time, but shit be going on. It
if
should
I
be
if I
happening.
if I could watch TV, movies, play video games, build my Legos, collect my little figures and shit, and just talk about it with people, it'd be a lovely life. But unfortunately, we got to make money too and other things.
Man,
So
stuff be happening, but we here. We knew we was gonna make it back,
you
so
gonna make it
appreciate
back?
y'all. Appreciate y'all bearing with us. And we gonna try and make this a little more consistent now. But today we are discussing The Penguin, the show that just dropped on Max. We are 3 episodes in now, so giving y'all our thoughts on the first 3 episodes that we've gotten so far. I know when this show was initially announced, I was a little skeptical about whether or not we needed this show. I know you were as well. The only
Still
thing
on,
that kind of,
still on.
yeah, it gave me the only thing that was, I guess that gave me a little hope was Colin Farrell because I will never question the acting ability of Colin Farrell. I've just seen him knock it out the park too many times at this point, and I thought a show centered around a Colin Farrell character would work no matter who he's playing. And granted, playing Penguin, I knew that aspect of the show wasn't going to be a problem. I just wondered what value would this show generate for this universe, just given you're trying to focus on the Penguin, which as a character, I don't know if he needs his own show. But 3 episodes in, they're giving us some interesting things so far. I kind of thought this was just going to be The Sopranos with Penguin in it.
Before you jump into your analysis, I do want to rebuttal that part, the beginning part that you stated.
Okay.
Um, I still don't think we need it.
Okay.
I am enjoying it.
Yeah.
I just don't think we needed this Penguin movie for the simple fact that um it's too much going on within the DC universe, and
A
that's a
lot.
Warner Brothers problem.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that I didn't think it was going to be. Everybody is giving the consensus that it's going to be like The Sopranos, especially with it being based in Jersey, or New Jersey as the state,
Hmm.
um, where The Sopranos took place. And it's about mob bosses. Penguin's always been a mob boss. Always has, always will be. Um, he's a super criminal, but he has no superpowers. Never has. He's always had some type of wacky gadgets. Now, back to what I was saying. It's too much going on in the DC universe, Warner Brothers. We have Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Hmm.
They are still looking at adding a second Batman, um, to the new to the James Gunn universe that he's building
Just got casting
around
for
DC.
Green Lantern on that as well.
I
So
seen that. I was
yeah.
we we gonna def our shorter one. We gonna definitely have some more. I got more thoughts, way more
Yeah,
thoughts.
we're gonna have to discuss that for sure.
um, and then you have two animated universes.
Hmm.
So you have two animated Batmans. You have a live action Batman, and then you have a potentially a third, where they're basing this Batman again in realism in a real world. Robert
Hmm.
Pattinson's Batman, and so people don't see how they would throw superheroes in here. Well, they kind of did the same thing with Christian Bale's Batman, where it's based in realism, and I think we need to get away from that. Like, Batman is a superhero. I get we wanted, well, it's easier to do this, easier to do that. Cool, but he's just no, no superpowers, but he deals with superpower beings every day. That's his thing. Batman fights with superheroes. He is a part of a super team. So trying to build a world and kind of cut that out, they're doing exactly what Sony is doing with all these Spider-Man properties, where they are cutting out the villains. Now, I don't think we needed this Penguin show. Because again, why do I need the world? Why do we need world building? One, on Batman, who's been around since the 40s, late 40s, mid 50s. Probably wrong. I think it was more. It was more so the 50s. Either way, it's been around. We know this
Yeah,
world. We
yeah,
know these characters. The people that's going to watch it is going to watch it. You're going to have some people going in anyway, but you don't need. I don't think we need this world building experience for the show. Um, Again, with that being said, I am enjoying it. People were saying it was it's always like Sopranos. I'm again. That's why I don't listen to people. People have their own opinions. I don't think it's anything like The Sopranos,
it's not. I thought it was going to be going into it, but it's not. It's not.
and I'm glad it's not because it wouldn't work. Um, I say all that to say I still don't think we needed this. They could have spent that time, money, and effort on building up this DC universe that they're trying to build and putting together some other things. Honestly, um, let's try and combine these things again. We have two separate animated Batmans. I don't remember if we
Mhm.
talked about the Amazon Batman, but it's a different take on the Penguin. And same thing, everybody thinks the Penguin is an interesting choice. They could have did the Gotham Underworld as a whole, but to focus
That
on
would
the
have been
Penguin
interesting. Yeah.
was it was an interesting choice. And my only gripe with the show is he's so tall.
Penguin is supposed to be a short
He's
character.
so tall.
Yeah, Penguin
Danny
is definitely not supposed to be
DeVito
that
was the
tall.
perfect Penguin.
Yeah. I will say, to your point about Gotham's underworld, though, I think if you're going to tell a story about Gotham's underworld, it's probably smart from a marketing standpoint to use a character that's familiar to the audience to drive that story forward. So in that sense, I think Penguin's the perfect choice because he's the most. I think for the casual fan who isn't like too deep into Batman lore,
People
Penguin's a
know who
pretty
he
yeah,
is.
Penguin's a pretty recognizable villain. And if you're
Yeah,
trying to tell a story about Gotham's underworld, I think he's the perfect vehicle to tell that story, which is essentially what this show is.
because
This
the
show is
only other
basically
person that I could see them being able to make an underworld show about and keeping in this realism that they have is the Black
yeah,
Mask. And again, like you
he's
said,
not well
he's
known.
he's not
Yeah,
really well
people don't know who
known.
Black Mask is. No, I
Yeah,
don't
he's not.
like.
In Batman's core gallery of rogues,
Yeah,
Joker, Penguin, Riddler, Mister Frost, Bane. You know,
Joker could have worked, but it just we're
I'm
oversaturated
sick. I'm
with
sick of
we're
the
oversaturated with
Joker.
Joker right now.
And
Yeah,
again,
so
the whole Joker gangster thing, it didn't
yeah,
work with Suicide Squad either. It,
Suicide Squad did not do Gangster Joker any favors.
you
No.
know,
Yeah,
I don't. Joker is not a Joker's not a gangster. He's a madman. So
yeah,
that's the only
he's
reason
a
I don't think he would have
psychopath.
worked. He's a
Yeah,
psychopath that has criminals working for him, but
yeah.
he's not a gangster. He's not a mobster. There's no
There's
there's
literally
no
no method to the madness.
yeah.
It's just
So
madness.
when we when we jump into the episode, I'm gonna cut you off real quick and start it off. I'm sorry. When we jump into the episode,
hmm
again, it takes place after the movie,
Yeah.
and it's right after the
I think it's like a week after the events
after
of the
after
Batman,
events of the
so it's
movie,
like
or
starts
it
right.
starts right at the
Yeah,
events after the end,
yeah.
and Oswald is or the Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot. He's on the move. He's already thinking, okay, I was high up on the food chain within Falcon's empire.
hmm
I need to get this, and this things I know about. And he runs into Carmine's son, Alberto Falcone, and they're talking, they're kicking it, and where you would think that and again, the Penguin is he makes plans and he's calculated. The issue with the Penguin is he doesn't always follow through on the plans, and there are key things that will set him off.
hmm
The Joker, on the other hand, he might just he's just going to go off to go off. And we doing spoiler free or no?
I'll say spoiler free.
All right.
Yeah,
So
especially because yeah, I'll say spoiler free.
all
Yeah,
right.
yeah, spoiler free.
So like I said, at the beginning of the first episode, a conversation happens, whatever, and you see Penguin trying to play it cool, and then there's a snap. And it's
hmm
because something is said to him. And again, this is something that out of all his iterations that Penguin is, he does not like when people attack his physical description.
That's a constant theme in this show of people just making fun of him. That is a constant
And
theme
and
throughout this
again,
show.
he's sometimes he sucks it up and deals with it.
Depending on who it's
Sometimes
coming
he
from.
doesn't, depending on who's coming from and where he's at in the situation. The Joker would not do that. The Joker's
Yeah.
going to murder you here and now.
Regardless. Yeah.
Doesn't give a shit about the after effect. And then, however you want to kick it off, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I think those are all great points to start off. I think that as I started to get into this show and started to see the direction they were going with it, I really liked the Colin Farrell's performance as Penguin kind of brought me around to this idea
Mhm.
of, even though initially I didn't think we needed this show, I'm glad we got it because it was a way to build out this iteration of Gotham that we have now, this very grounded version of it. And it helps us live with the events of the Batman and makes us see that like this really had a huge impact on Gotham and how
On
it's
the world.
operating. Like
Yeah.
this has left that the events of that movie have left a lasting impact on Gotham that is being felt throughout the entire city. And I felt that this show did a really good job of displaying that and showcasing that.
I'm glad you said that because in a lot of movies you never see the aftermath.
You
Even
don't.
with especially superhero movies. And it's with the first
With more
Avengers,
damage than what was caused in this.
the first Avengers movie. Since that Avengers movie, they mentioned the incident, which was the Chitauri invasion of New York. They mentioned it multiple times, and the only time you really see, I think they mentioned it in the first Spider-Man because that's how Vulture started his business. But it's not showing you the damage that it caused people. Yeah, and the devastation. I think in one of the Marvel TV shows, someone may have, I think it was maybe Hawkeye, where someone died during the invasion.
It was I don't know why I'm
Kate
forgetting.
Bishop, was it
Kate
her
Bishop, thank
dad?
you. Yeah, Kate Bishop.
Okay.
They showed basically that whole incident like from her perspective. So that's really the only time you get that.
Yeah,
really.
but we don't know the aftermath. It hasn't been a villain that's been like, yo, this your fault. It hasn't been. I mean, and it wasn't. But either way, it hasn't been a villain that was like, hey, when a Hulk crashed into that building, I was in the bathroom right there.
Yeah,
he crushed my leg.
Yeah.
But
this show does a good job of showcasing that, especially through, and not even just through the lens of Penguin. There's another, character, Victor, who Penguin kind of brings along after, they kind of meet in a confrontational kind of way, but Penguin takes him under his wing and basically like takes him in as his personal chauffeur, but he has him doing other.
Let's not say let's not call this young black man his chauffeur, man. That's
what he calls himself. That's what, and that Oki pissed me off every time. He's like, yeah, I'm the driver. It's like, dude, he has you doing 10 other things outside of driving.
He's
a driver, bro.
He's an executive assistant.
Executive assistant. Yes, that's exactly what he is. It's exactly. I really want to say chauffeur with air quotes because he ain't just a chauffeur, but executive assistant. Yes.
And you know what? You brought up. I thought about that, and the only thing I want to add to that is, I thought the Penguin would have more people that was close to him.
I'm actually not surprised that he doesn't, and I think the fact that he doesn't fits with his character. There's a scene. I don't want to, once again, no spoilers, but there's a scene, and it's in episode 3 where a character looks at Penguin and says, "Why do you think people react to you the way they do? People have you around because you're entertaining, but they don't trust you and they don't like you."
So I want y'all to know.
That's very telling. Like
I did not watch episode 3. Okay, he went ahead. That is on him.
I was just making that point to say like it makes sense why Penguin doesn't have anyone close to him.
But I say that
no one truly trusts him.
In the second episode, there's a party.
Yep.
And he has a few guys over, And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I mean. There's no one close to him. I'm not saying everybody has to like him and enjoy him, but
Yeah.
with the Penguin being, because he references this a few times, that he was the right hand of Falcone.
Yeah.
And he was in the movie. That's who you
Mm-hmm.
seen when the Penguin, when Falcone was around. You seen the Penguin.
Yeah.
That's who took it the hardest when they found out he was a rat. And it just would have made sense that someone already, either maybe he had a security guard, a bodyguard, because he doesn't
Yeah.
have he. I mean, essentially, he. It seems like he was never a right hand. It seems like he was just another one of the guys along for the ride. But
Yeah.
they mention it several times about the things that Oswald had going on. He runs the drugs in a lot of the drugs in the city. He
Yeah.
owned a nightclub that everybody came to. So that's what I was saying as far as like I know what you're talking. I kind of get what you're saying because
Yeah.
he is always a person that you know he's not he's not really a people person.
But
All
you're
right.
saying like he should have more in terms of support around him,
Yeah, he
given his
shouldn't.
access.
He shouldn't
That is a
just
fair point.
have this kid that he ran into, and
That
it's like,
that basically
yeah,
became his everything.
yeah, and if you want to be real, um, this kid was basically forced, and when you watch the show, you'll see this kid
He
was
does feel
forced to
very
be
forced at yeah.
at the
He's
beginning.
very
At the beginning,
forced.
in a court of law, they probably would have said he had Stockholm syndrome or some shit,
Yeah, he was. It
and
was one of those situations where it's like he kind of found himself in a predicament, and it was kind of like, well, my
what do I
only
have to
real
do to survive?
yeah, like the best way for me to get out of this situation in One Piece is to help this dude, and that's really he becomes Penguin's assistant more so out of necessity and the want to not get killed
Out of
versus like
survival.
I actually want to help this person.
He
So,
had two
but you
choices. Only one of them
yeah.
was gonna keep him alive.
You feel
So,
me? So like he it was really like a situation where he was forced into it, but you do see their relationship progress.
bro, yeah, yeah,
Even just through the first three episodes, you see their relationship progress fairly quickly and you see them start to build a bond. And I really feel like the relationship Penguin has with him it's like kind of needy and clingy. Like he kind of
yeah.
likes having him around to the point I feel like because Penguin doesn't have a lot of close personal relationships
Support.
in this show, he kind of leans on Victor for that. And he leans on Victor to be that person for him, which is why he's an executive assistant in so many different ways and does so
Hmm.
many different things. Like he's kind of Penguin's go-to guy for a lot of stuff. I feel like because he doesn't really have that person who's close to him that he feels like he can trust to carry out some of those things for him. And I think it says a lot about Penguin as a character, the way he interacts with Vic, and kind
Yeah.
of shows. He really clearly shows just how lonely Penguin is. And Vic even says this himself in the show at one point. Like, I think the dude just likes having me around because it doesn't seem like he really has anyone else.
Yeah.
And like that's very apparent and shown throughout all the scenes they have together and how much Penguin relies on him, kind of like to his own detriment sometimes, because this is not a kid who grew up in a life of crime.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't like this is a kid who's an experience. He did not he resorted to it based on some traumatic things that happened to him.
I'm going to say now is these things that we learned in episode 3,
So
because if we're just talking,
if you've watched any portion of the show, you know something traumatic happened to this kid
we do know that,
related to what Riddler did at the end of the movie,
right, right,
at the
right.
end of Batman. So that incident is what kind of caused him to spiral and what led to the events of him meeting Penguin.
Well, I
But
say that to say because
prior to that, knowing the knowledge I know, having seen episode 3,
oh, see you
he did not
motherfucker.
grow. Yeah,
You know
he
what?
did
Let's
not grow
let's
up in a life of crime.
let's
Like
do
he's
this. Let's
not
let
like that.
let's not
He
talk
ain't
about
like that.
episode 3. I know it's gonna be hard for you because you already watched the
I
shit.
have the context though of
I
like
know that's
why
what I'm
this kid
saying.
is the
Let's
way he
not talk
is. So it's
about
hard for me.
that.
It's
Let's
hard to talk
so
about him
so
without that.
just put a needle through your brain or some shit. We're not gonna
Yeah.
talk about 3. We're gonna do 3 and 4 together.
All
You
right,
know, cut
bet.
that shit out your mind.
So as far as episode, but even still, regardless, right? Without
There,
that knowledge,
I'll say there are
watching this
hints,
kid, yeah, there
but
are hints. Like even without the knowledge that you get later on, just watching the first 2 episodes and seeing how this kid operates in high pressure moments that Penguin puts him in, you can tell a life of crime is not something he's comfortable with or something that he's used to.
What I'll say
That I think is
is,
a fair. That I think is a fair statement.
I'll say a life of crime wasn't meant for him. I'm not going
Yeah.
to say what I don't want to say. Again, I haven't seen season 3 because we ain't
Mhm.
talking about season 3. Season 3 ain't even came out, or episode 3 ain't even came out yet. So,
Yes, it is. What do you mean? I
no,
just
it
watched
hasn't, nigga. Get that out your head. What I mean is, um, again, he might be a great criminal by the time this episode finishes.
Maybe.
Or season. I'm sorry, this season finishes, but
Probably.
he was not meant for a life of
Yeah.
crime. I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether he was doing crimes before, because again, like I said, his confrontation with the Penguin started from a criminal interaction,
Yeah.
or event encounter.
Yeah. It
So
felt like that was more out of desperation though, versus like I'm
it,
trying to be a criminal.
it's possible. It's
Yeah.
possible he might have been a leader.
He ain't seem like the leader.
No, he ain't seem like the fucking leader.
Yeah, I was about to say like that was a milk.
even hey, listen, even in that situation, that led
Yeah.
to him encountering the Penguin.
Yeah.
You see that his survival skills is kind of on the low end of it.
Yeah. I think I think Penguin is really just it's just like I needed somebody around, so this is just someone I ran into. Because when Penguin sends him on side quests, he's not completing them in an efficient way. Like he's not like you can just tell. I'm like, oh, so this is your first time doing everything that he's telling you to do. You're not used to any of this, and that's kind of what I mean by that. Like a lot of the stuff Penguin tasked him with doing, it's very apparent he's very green to a lot of this. This is not something he's done before or something he's used to doing or something he has experience with, which is why I say Penguin kind of gives him these tasks to his own peril because he'll do the task and then he'll fuck it up. And then Penguin has to clean up the mess of him like fucking up the task. You know what I'm saying? So that is one thing about Penguin in this show is his judgment sometimes, while he is like calculated and does plan things out very well, his judgment when it comes to this kid is very questionable.
That's why I said,
the things
he's
he entrusts him
what he
with.
does, but again, he has no one else, so he has to.
Yeah.
Now the other thing, which I didn't realize how much I wanted to see her in this. What was it Kristen Milioti?
Sophia Falcone, the actress that plays Sophia Falcone. She steals the show.
I want to say, I recall her being in the show. The first time I seen her was a show. She has 40 different things. I'm trying to make sure that I got the right show. Cause I can't think of the name of it.
She's been in Black Mirror. She's been in.
She was the mother on How I Met Your Mother.
Yep.
She was on the. She was on it. She was on the Sopranos. Well, yes. Okay, so I don't think she was in the show that I'm thinking about that I thought she was amazing in. So once I figure out who that person is, and
she is good in this show, though. I will say
she's amazing.
She kind of still it was really weird to see because obviously when you have Colin Farrell as the lead in the show, you kind of expect him to command all the scenes he's in because it's Colin Farrell.
I don't. I don't. I just want to say that I don't.
With him as the lead in a TV show, I would expect him to command.
Even then, like the movies that I see Colin Farrell in, man. Even as a lead, and I want to go back to SWAT. SWAT was probably one of the first movies that I seen with Colin Farrell.
Okay.
I think it was a Samuel L. Jackson movie, man.
That's different. So when I say Colin Farrell he's the lead in this show without much star power around him. He was in SWAT with Samuel L. Jackson. No one's stealing a scene. No one's stealing a scene that Samuel L. Jackson's in. That's not happening. So in the sense of this show, yeah, like you know what I'm saying. That's not happening. Like in the context of this show, where there isn't a lot of star power in this show outside of Colin Farrell. It's some people you might recognize.
There are known actors, shows, but you don't know their names.
Not star power. You know what I'm saying? Like there's actors I was like, oh, I recognize him from Luke Cage or whatever, right? But like they're not. No one in here is like.
Now I do know his name because that's my man's from Sons of Anarchy, Theo Rossi.
Shout out Shades. Shout out Shades.
Shout out Shades.
Yeah, shout out to Shades, man. Shout out to Shades. But the way Sophia Falcone came into the show and just kind of took over like immediately, that kind of caught me off guard. She is
Yeah,
by far the most interesting character in this show. She is the most terrifying character in this show. And I think in some ways the most unpredictable because it's kind of hard to guess what her next moves are, what she's going to do next. And you
they
really
are
see it in the
logical
way
though.
they are. What's crazy is they really try to play up her as this psychotic character who just is not right in the head, but the moves she makes are very
Are very
calculated and
smart.
actually very smart.
So
So
I do
it
want to say they do mention in the show that I'm gonna give this spoiler out, okay? Only because I'm not gonna give it out. I do want to get out that she has a nickname which is the Hangman in the
hmm
show. I'm not gonna tell y'all how she got the name, or it's even knowing it, you're not gonna be like, oh yeah, she was doing this.
hmm
But it's funny because I just seen a video on like TikTok, Facebook video, some shit like that, and they were talking about the comic book version of the Hangman where she
hmm
came about, and so like watching the show, and you're like, okay, it's different.
hmm
It's not the same version as the comic book version, but she is a lot of her. Like you said, she steals. I think she steals those scenes that she's in. I agree because
yes,
there's this uncertainty whenever Oswald's talking to her. Um
yeah,
and again, he's very calculated in his actions. Even when what he's doing is something comes out of left field for him, he's oh yeah, yeah, this happened.
yep,
And
yep,
all I'm gonna say at the funeral when he was talking to her at the
hmm
funeral, that
hmm
was something that wasn't supposed to happen. They were supposed to be there,
yeah,
and that dialogue came to him.
hmm
But like I said,
he
when she
lies very easily.
very easy,
Penguin is like a masterful liar in this
but
show,
with
like
her,
masterful.
she says what it is every time. She
Yeah,
holds nothing back. She doesn't play those games that they want her to play as
she's very blunt, very
in a
blunt and
mob
very
family.
direct.
She
Yeah,
doesn't play the political games,
at all.
and I'm interested to see again because the show's called The Penguin. So
Yeah,
at some point he has to be the boss, right?
yeah.
So I'm interested to see how their interaction grows because
It's gonna dissolve at some point, I think.
yeah, and you can
Yeah,
it doesn't start. It's not like it starts rosy and peachy. It starts where everybody kind of knows, the kind of person he is.
hmm
He wants to get over. He wants a
yeah,
piece of the pie, and he's going to
hmm
do what he can to get a piece of the pie. It's mentioned before that um Carmine knew that he was stealing. He was taking some
That's
money
like one
off
of
the
the
top.
first. That's like the first scene of the show, or
You
of the
know,
show is it's
he,
revealed like, yeah, he was stealing from Carmine Falcone. It's like, oh,
but
so
he
this dude
knew,
is a complete
and he was
slime ball.
cool with it. So,
Yeah,
you know, and again, it leads to he was calculating things that he did, but then how these things get jumbled up. And again, now that you say that, because it was mentioned, that was the first one of the first things.
they set it up
Obviously,
immediately.
he's
This is a
not
character
that
you can't
great
trust.
of a sneaky person because there's always it's not even just Vic's fault. It's like he'll fix Vic's mistakes, but then his shit just works out for him
hmm
every time.
hmm
But I do love her acting so far in it. It's a few different scenes where again that it's going to be more so they can expand on it with her in it. But I'm interested to see how they're going to fit all of this into 5 more episodes.
Yeah, I think this is eight episodes total
8
is
in the
going to be
season.
this season. I don't know if we're getting a season two. I don't know if that was has been discussed or announced at
I hope
all.
we don't.
I'd have to see the rest of the show before I make that decision. I will say I don't think that a season two would be necessary. I think whatever you do in this season should just feed right into Batman 2. I don't think we need several seasons of focusing on the Penguin, but I got to see where the show goes before I make that decision yet because I just don't know where it's leading. But I do think to your point about Sophia Falcone, because I want to stay there for a little bit, just because of how good she's been.
Mm-hmm.
It's to me getting to the point she's outshining Penguin in his own show. And I'm wondering what they're going to do at some point to try to switch that around, because
Yeah.
they're there's I can tell that they're trying to humanize and character develop certain characters. I don't want to like spoil or get into anything, especially since we're focusing on the first two episodes. But there's certain characters outside of Sophia that we've spent some more time with and that they're trying to develop a little bit more. And the whole time they're doing that, all I'm thinking as an audience member is like, okay, this is cool.
Can we get back to
Let's
the show?
let's get back
Are you talking
to the
about
character.
Eve? Is Eve one?
No, I was speaking on Victor actually. Yeah, I was speaking on Victor. They spend some time trying to flesh his character out.
Because
And the
Vic is
whole
like
time,
a co. I would say like he's the next supporting actor. I would say even over
yes, by far.
Sophia. And
Yeah, as far as screen time, yes.
I'm hoping in episode 3 that they discuss, because it hasn't come out yet and no one has seen it. I'm hoping that because he gets a text message on his phone at one point in episode 2, and I keep saying season. I mean, y'all know what I mean. He gets a text message on his phone in episode 2, and it's just never addressed. And I see you shaking your head, so we both hope that it's addressed in episode 3.
Strongly hope that it is addressed in episode 3. We will strongly hope.
And it's one of those text messages that you get from without looking at Farhan's face and seeing what the fuck he's over there talking about. Either a girlfriend or a parent, and it's a worrisome text, or let me say guardian, not just parent or guardian, because again he is spending a lot of time with Oswald. Now, like I said,
you don't really see the rest of his life.
You don't see the rest of his life. He got that text message, and then there's a I want to say episode in episode 1, there was a moment where Oswald was calling him, and his phone was going straight to voicemail, and he asked him, what were you doing? And it's never addressed. He say, I called you this and this, and they kind of just brush over it. It's never addressed. So they're gonna add something to this. And we got off of Sophia that quick to talk about not wanting to see other characters. I actually am kind of want to know a little bit about Vic, because where are your friends?
It does. There's a lot of context about him that we need to see. I definitely think that he's going to be fleshed out a little bit more. So I don't think you're going to be disappointed with Vic being developed more as a character. And I really think Vic serves a very particular purpose in this show for me. Having seen what I've seen, it feels like because all the other characters in this show are terrible people, there needed to be one person who was sympathetic and someone who the audience could connect with and sort of view this crazy world through. And it feels like that's the purpose Vic serves in this, because while Penguin is a good lead character, he might not necessarily be the best protagonist for the audience to identify with. And
not even a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? So Vic really serves that purpose in this show of the audience needs someone that they can view this world through that character's lens. And that's the purpose I think Vic serves in this show. That's truly like why I think you're going to get more of him in terms of character development and story arc, and a little bit more about him as a person, because you need that for him to serve the function that he needs to serve in this show. You need to sympathize with him.
We don't need that function in this show. This is a show
for him to serve that purpose. We do. I'm not going to disagree with you that we don't need that.
Yeah, okay.
It's a show about criminals, so
and mobsters, and so now you have this kid, and again, that was our problem with the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted us to be sympathetic to this guy,
Sympathetic to
empathetic
him,
to him,
and that's
you
not a
know, and
character we should sympathize with at all.
ever, you know, mental. We as a country we know how bad, you know, the mental health is and healthcare is in this country.
Yeah.
So for a movie like The Joker to come out, it could have came out if they would have never mentioned the Joker, never mentioned Batman, never mentioned Bruce, or I'm sorry, never mentioned Bruce Wayne, who's fucking Batman, never mentioned Gotham. That movie could have came out and it would have been fine. And then
Yes.
they did the whole, they didn't do the whole creepy let's wear a clown face at the end
Mm-hmm.
thing. It would have been fine. It would have been a fine piece about mental health in this country.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what they did. Again, that's not what we need. They want, like, it's exactly what you said though. They want us to be sympathetic to someone. We
Yes.
don't need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you're world building and you're setting up so the Penguin is the next big bad, or again, he's just a supporting character in the next Batman movie. That's fine. We can see we will have somebody to be sympathetic to in this next movie, and
Yeah.
that'll be Batman. That'll be the citizens of Gotham, but it should not be anyone running with the Penguin and his organization.
Yeah, and to be honest, like the way Penguin is introduced in this show, I thought they were going to try to make Penguin sympathetic at first. 'Cause like you said,
Mm-hmm.
first scene, he's starting out getting made fun of and getting talked down to, and it's
Bully,
like, are you?
basically,
Yeah, essentially bullied. Like Penguin gets bullied a lot in this show, and I'm thinking like,
a lot.
I don't see. At first, I thought that was the show's attempt to try to get us as an audience to connect with him, but it's like, I as an audience member have a hard time doing it because I know how untrustworthy Penguin is.
Right.
Like he's a person that everyone in this show, outside of maybe Vic, just because he don't know no better yet,
Knows how dirty he
but
is
everyone in this show who has history with Penguin, all universally talk about how much of a slime ball he is and
and
how
how
much you
shady
can't
he
trust him,
is.
how shady he is. He's out for himself. You can't trust him. He full of shit. Whatever the word is, every character that Penguin has interacted with in this show that has history with him or knows him has all universally said the same thing about him. So with that, and you see that through his actions in this show.
Every time, soon as
Every
somebody
scene,
say, "Man, you this, you that, you this, you that,"
he does
the
something to
next
prove it
scene
right.
he
Yes.
proves them right. They
Yes.
don't know it
So
yet, but he does it.
yes, as an audience member, you see him doing. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. So all the things old dude just said about you in the previous scene, I'm watching you be
Exactly.
untrustworthy right now. You going behind this person's back, making a deal here. You going behind this person's back to go and set this person up who thinks that you on their side. You know what I'm saying? Like he is truly out for himself in every sense of the word. So it's hard for me as an audience member to just feel sorry for him because he's getting bullied, knowing how shady he is. So if in making the show, the showrunners wanted someone sympathetic, it could never be Penguin. So I understand why they may have thought Vic was a necessary character in this show. I don't think he is because as an audience member, I know I'm coming into this show watching criminals in Gotham. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
expecting to get sympathetic figures out of a show with that backdrop. So you should just be able to tell me this is Gotham's criminal underworld, and we're just going to tell you this story through the lens of Penguin. Y'all not getting any redeeming characters. Everyone in the show is a piece of shit. Now be entertained.
Everyone.
And I think that still would have worked. I don't hate Vic as a character. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I don't think Vic is a bad character. He's not badly written. The actor who plays him does a fine job. Vic is not distracting or a negative. I don't think he's a negative in this show. I
Yeah.
just think that in a show about the criminal underworld of Gotham, he is not. I agree with
Not
you. He's
needed.
not necessary. He's not necessary. And I think he can. I think given the amount of screen time he has, he distracts from other characters who are more interesting than him, like a Sophia Falcone or like a Maroni or like any other character you want to talk about who I feel like deserves more screen time than what they're getting so far.
I'll say, you know, hopefully, you know, in episode 3 we'll see more of something. But you know, since it hasn't come out yet, no one has seen it. We don't.
Mm-hmm.
we we don't know. You know, well, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. You know, so and I say that to
I'm,
say,
I'm glad you said that.
and I say that to say, you know, because in episode 1 and 2, he gets screen time, but it's not his.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't, like Farhan said, he doesn't take away from, in that sense of he doesn't take away from anyone. But if but every bit that's focused on him takes away from someone else.
Yeah.
And I say that to say, there's two people running Falcone's business. Which again, I'm still trying to figure out how was Penguin not his right hand. I don't understand how they. I don't understand. I do not understand the decision to make the Penguin this nobody. We know that's how Penguin starts out. We
Hmm.
do know this, and they even go in the show Gotham. Again,
Yeah.
he's a nobody to begin with, but after the movie, you've seen him in this high position at the right hand of Falcone all the time.
Yeah.
And now on this show, you have him basically. I'm gonna say he's not. He's maybe an underboss. I wouldn't even say he's someone of high importance in there, at
He's
all.
definitely not.
And so I said that to say there are two guys who are running the operation, and we know one thing about one of them, and I'm hoping in episode 3 or 4 they release this information to us, or to the characters in the show. We know
Hmm.
what's going on, but that's
Yeah.
all we know.
And that, even you referencing that, shows how much Penguin is out for himself. Because in the opening scene where someone comes in and bullies him, he's where he's at because he's trying to collect dirt on other
Collect
members of
dirt.
the Falcone family to use it for his own gain. So, like, there's so many examples in this show of Penguin being out for himself and of Penguin just being that power hungry character. They set that up about him from the very beginning. So
But
you,
let's do say this, that I don't believe that was not originally his dirt. That
it
was
wasn't originally his dirt,
that was
but best believe
Falcone's
he was about
dirt.
to use it.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
you
Falcone's
got.
dirt.
Don't let it go to
Yes, but best
waste.
believe he was about to use that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew exactly where to go, what the save combination was. Yeah.
So
He, he,
and
he
I,
was going to put that
again,
to use.
there are characters that play a more central role into the story of the Falcone family, who we know absolutely zero about. In episode, this is still episode 1. Um, there's a new boss to the Falcone family,
Hmm.
and he just shows up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was kind of it was really out of nowhere
Yeah.
because, in my opinion, he should have been there to begin with.
Yeah.
But he just shows up, and they're like, "Hey, he's here." And you're like, "Oh, okay."
It's
No
just
one's
like, all
mentioned him
right.
before,
Yeah.
and again, this is kind of later in the episode,
They're just
so
introducing different Falcone family members
yeah,
throughout
so
episode one. Yeah.
because things have happened by the time we meet this person,
A lot of things
so
have happened.
a lot. So it was very off putting. It was very weird for him to
Hmm.
show up now.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I'm interested in is getting a little more of the Maroni characters in the show, especially Salvatore Maroni. His character seems very interesting, and I want us to spend more time with him because I'm interested in actually seeing the inevitable clash that's going to happen between those two families. You can tell that's what the show is building towards. That Penguin is also kind of orchestrating himself.
Hmm.
I think that that's going to be a key turning point in the show whenever that happens. The one worry I have though is it feels very one-sided in terms of the characters we're focusing on. If this is supposed to be about a show about Gotham's criminal underworld, we spent a lot of time with the Falcons, which I have
A
no
lot of
problem
time.
with because they're very interesting characters right now, especially Sophia. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But I think that eventually I would like to get more of what the other side of this conflict is going to be, which is the Maroni family. You meet them, you see who the characters are, but there's not really a lot of time spent with them. They're really only there for Penguin to interact with.
And they have someone. I can never remember her name. Um, I believe. I think she's Pakistani in real life.
The actress who plays Maroni's wife,
Is that his wife
I believe so.
with the deep voice?
Okay, yes, we're talking about the same
That
person.
yeah. So again, she's.
Yeah.
I love her as an actress. In almost everything she's in, you know, she's amazing. I'm hitting something and something just keep bouncing
I
on
was
my
about to say,
on
like,
my
get over here,
table.
gang.
I'm like, what the hell is this? But she's amazing in everything that I've
Yeah.
seen her in.
Hmm.
and she's very noticeable because of her voice.
Yeah.
She has this, and I need to know her name because she's done some voice acting before. She's been in a bunch of TV shows. I don't know if she's been in a bunch of movies, but she's been in a bunch of TV shows.
Yeah.
One of the first times I remember her, I want to say she was in 24, and that might have been season 2 or 3. And obviously she was opposite Jack Bauer. She was
Yeah.
playing. She's brown skinned in fucking the early 2000s, so of course she was playing the terrorist.
Yeah, of course.
If you've seen the show The Expanse, she played the president. After she was the secretary, then she was the president. She was the president at the end, The Expanse. And I know I'm gonna butcher her name because it's cultural. I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe her last name is. I want to say her first name is pretty. Nope. Sheree Agadashlu or Agadashlu.
Just butchering that name.
Again, Sheree. I'm pretty sure is how you say her first name.
Probably, I would have butchered it too. So props to you for trying.
Like I said, everything she's been in that I've seen has been.
She was very good in this, though.
And again, we haven't seen episode 3. Episode 3 hasn't came out yet. She hasn't had that many scenes, and she is still. Again, she can really play anything. Like I said, she does have a very she's a woman, but she has a deep voice, and she has a very only the best way I can think of it is commanding. She has a very commanding voice.
You can tell she's the one in charge. It is very apparent who the boss is.
There's no way that you can make her an assistant to anybody in any movie ever because her voice is like
she's the HNIC.
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, she's running shit. Then they be like, no, she'd be like, no, that's actually him. No, it's always her.
She's running shit.
Yeah,
yeah, and I mean, especially given the dynamic of the Maroney family right now, she's really the only one with the ability to act on anything. Because if you've seen the Batman, Salvatore is locked up, so she's really. She's really the only one that can she's the only one that can make any moves because she's actually on the outside. Salvatore isn't. So yeah, she as far as like the operations of the Maroney family is concerned, she is the one in charge.
So when episode 3 and 4 come out, and when did these air? Do these come out on what day?
The day they air, I should know.
Monday.
I watched. It's earlier in the week, yes, because the episode that hasn't dropped did drop earlier this week. So I believe
it would have came out earlier this week if it came out.
If it came out, it would have came out earlier this week if it came out.
So when we come back, we should be able to do this. Our next show should be able to be focused on episodes 3 and 4. It's not.
This show has been a pleasant surprise. I like what I've seen so far.
Again, I had no high hopes for this at all. I was. With us closing this portion of closing the show, this episode out, I had no hopes of this show being. I'm not gonna say good because I didn't think the Batman would be good, and I enjoyed it. So I didn't think it would be bad. I just did not think it would be great, and I did not think we needed it. I still don't think we need it, but again, we already know. I'm fine with. I can enjoy things that I don't. I want to say but I like this, and I do enjoy this. I'm ready. I would like to see where they're going to go, how they're going to close this season out. Again, we're already on episode. I hate these. They could have gave us 12 episoms. Anyway,
8 episodes is not. I don't like it. That's
not enough. I hate. It's too short. But I'm really interested to see where this goes. And honestly. Vic's not that interesting of a character, but I want to see where he ends up. I'm going to be pissed if oh no, never mind. They gave us his last name. I was gonna say I was gonna be pissed if they at the end of the episode 8 they'd be like, "Oh, Mr. Zsasz." How comics pull shit out
would not work at all.
That would piss me the fuck off.
I'm gonna just say
Um,
that's not gonna work, given the context of what I know
listen,
about
man.
that character now. No, he ain't his
When
ass.
when people
That boy ain't
when
his
people
ass.
snap, bro.
Yeah,
But yeah. Ultimately, like I said, I really enjoyed the first two episodes of the Penguin. I'm interested to see where they go from here and how everything plays out.
yeah.
I
Now to your
hope
point,
that
though. Oh my bad. Go ahead.
yeah, this is real quick. I really hope that again, like I said, the Penguin, he's calculated, but
Hmm.
he every his plans just never go right. It's
Yeah,
always, and again, it's not always something he does that messes it up. It's some outside force from
yep.
somewhere throws a wrench, and now he's scrambling. And again, he's intelligent and calculated enough to think on the spot and maneuver and make an alternate plan like that. But I'm really ready. I want to see how the again he has to at some point. This is just TV. He's going to shoot himself in the foot. I want to
Hmm.
know how.
Yeah, yeah. I think that, granted, I think there's more room for more Gotham Underground characters to make their way into the show, like a
Hmm.
Victor's Ass. So if they want to introduce that type of character, I'd be down for it. I do think that, if now that you've mentioned that, I think this show can be used as a vehicle to introduce some more of those characters into this world that we haven't necessarily seen yet. But just my thoughts on what we've seen so far through the first two episodes. I'm really a fan so far of how they've been setting this world up. I like the fact that they're addressing the damage from the first movie that the
Yeah,
Riddler caused and the lasting impact that that's having on Gotham. They
yeah.
didn't just go like, "Here's a show about Penguin and Gotham's underworld."
And
They
they keep
actually
bringing it
addressed the
up.
fact. Yeah,
They
like
didn't
it's
bring
a
it up once and
constant
stop. They
story
keep
point.
bringing it up.
Yeah, like it's a constant story point throughout this show. And I think they've done a very good job of, shining a light on that and showing the fact that there's a lot of people in Gotham who were personally impacted and devastated by that event, and their lives are forever changed because of it. Vic is a perfect representation of that, of someone whose life was for, you still don't
Hmm.
necessarily know yet. You're going to find out very soon, but you don't necessarily know yet,
Because
you
episode 3
know,
hasn't come out yet. We had.
because episode 3 hasn't come out yet. But like, it really does show like how devastating that event was, like, so
Hmm.
far, you know what I'm saying, and the type of impact that's had on Gotham and why certain people are acting the way they are now as a result of that event. I think that this show is going to do a lot for the character of Penguin going forward. I think it's going to make him a lot more interesting when we see him in Batman 2 whenever he pops up. And I think it's definitely going to do a lot for him as a standalone character going forward if they decide to explore this story more in future seasons. So far, I like what I'm seeing. I know we said 8 episodes is very short. It is. I'm willing to give this show a shot with it because each episode is an hour plus.
Okay, I
So
was about to
that,
say I feel like it's
yeah,
longer than an hour though.
yeah, every episode is an hour plus. So there's a lot for us to like work with in each episode. Like, there's a lot that happens in episode 1 and there's a lot that
Yes, a
happens in
lot.
episode 2. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they're rushing through these story points or rushing through developing their characters or stuff like that. They're able to take their time and flesh these things out because these episodes are so long, and you get a lot within just one episode. So I not able to provide a ranking yet, obviously, because we haven't seen everything. But I like what I'm seeing so far, and I'm excited to see where they decide to take this story going forward. And definitely excited to see like the dynamic between Penguin, Sophia Falcone, and Victor, and the dynamic
Hmm.
that they're starting to have. How is that going to change and dissolve as the season goes forward? Because you just know it's going to go wrong somehow. You just don't know how just yet. So I'm excited to see the direction they take that.
I
So
would say the only thing that what again this what you just brought it up when you said it. I would like to see season 2 of the Penguin not be the Penguin. It'd be
mhm,
some other side character
yeah,
elevated to a TV show. So
hmm,
Penguin, and then it goes. Let's just say I can't think of anybody right now, but season 2 is all about the Joker.
Hush,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah,
But
Hush or
my
Zaz or
my
something like
thing
that.
is I think we may have Hush, but I'll
He's
figure
been
that
rumored
out.
for the second movie.
I'll leave that. I'm gonna leave that out until we finish this episode. But I will say the one thing that I don't like is that the bat has not been referenced.
I ain't gonna lie. I think that you're
That's
right.
the
Batman
only
has
thing.
not. They reference Riddler in this show all the time. Riddler
Multiple
is referenced in
times.
like every other scene.
So
They
again,
have
like,
not, even through the episodes that haven't been released yet. Batman has not been mentioned one
so
time in this show.
there's no, and again, it's telling of the period, because again, I think
Hmm.
the Batman came out in that his second year as Batman.
Yeah.
There's still not a huge fear of him,
Hmm.
and
Like he's
up until,
known, but it's not like,
yeah,
yeah.
up until the Riddler, they thought it was a myth, it was a rumor,
Hmm.
until they seen him fighting, helping people. So
Yeah.
that's my honestly my only complaint. Like I said, I can't rate it right now. If I could, I'd probably give it like an 8. Um, I honestly I'd probably go higher than that, but I'm gonna
I
just
would
say 8 to
say
be
eight.
safe.
I would say eight as well. I think that there's a lot more that we're going to see that's probably going to elevate that rating for me because everything I've seen from the acting to their ability to create tension in just about every scene has tension in it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
There's tension throughout just about every scene you see in this show, which is hard to do. Creating tension is not an easy thing to do. And for me as an audience member to feel the anxiety the characters are feeling in each scene, that's effective storytelling, and effective world building and effective character development. So I like what I'm seeing from the show so far. He's definitely looking forward to see where these characters go from here, what kind of turns they make, how Penguin's plans are going to get messed up further from here because you just know they are.
from what him and
Um,
Vic is doing.
from what him and Vic can't get right, man. They just can't get right. If Penguin wasn't able to think on his feet as quick as he was and adapt to changing circumstances, he would not have been alive to make it through the end of
At
episode
all.
two. Like he just wouldn't have made it. He just wouldn't have made it. Very resourceful. That's really what's keeping him going. But this is, I will say, to your point about Batman, though, this one last thing I wanted to say. I've noticed the vast majority of this show takes place in the daytime so far. A
Yeah,
large
yeah,
portion of
yeah.
this show is either taking place inside or during the daytime.
You are correct.
Um, and I don't think we're going to be honest, I don't think we're going to get any Batman missions throughout this show. I think the most you'll probably see of Batman in here is maybe episode 8. He might pop up for like a scene.
I don't want to
And if
see Batman. Honestly, I don't want to see Batman, but
I
I
don't
need
either, but
to.
I'm saying if we do get him, it'll be one of them type
Yeah.
of end of the episode cameos. But we're not. Batman's not going to be a factor in this show at all.
The
Nor
only
do I
reason I
want him
say
to
that is
be.
because we're already in the middle of a mob war by episode
Yeah,
2. There's
yeah.
no way that there's a mob war going on,
And
and
Batman
and
doesn't get
Batman's not
involved.
taking notice. Yeah.
Agreed.
That's
Agreed.
the, that's
So
the only, that's why I said that's my only complaint, and I get
yeah,
it. You don't want to, you want to save the money,
hmm
for the movie, but it's
that and this is
again,
Penguin's show, and he's already
yeah.
getting outshined in it by one side character. Putting
So
Batman in there would I think make that problem a little worse as well.
it's just it's an interesting choice, and it was a choice that they made for the Joker movies. It's a choice that Sony is making for all of the
The
Spider-Man
villains
movies.
that they keep trying to make
Yeah.
that no
So
one's asking for.
that was it. I just want to throw that in before we
Yeah.
end it. That was it, really.
Yeah, no, but definitely let us know your thoughts on what we've seen from Penguin so far, episodes 1, 2, and even the unreleased ones. Let us know your thoughts and what you think of the show so far. Are you guys enjoying it? Was your opinion kind of like us, where you didn't think this show was needed, but you're starting to come around to it more? Or maybe you didn't think it was needed and you ended up hating it. We're welcome to all opinions. That's the fun of being a nerd and having this discourse. So we'll be coming at you again with a review of episodes 3 and 4, and then hopefully the remainder of the season as well. Until next time, this is the Real Fanatics. Peace.